When the sounds of the singing was stilled, when all the joy noises were shut back up inside the people, they went home because they had things to do. They were getting ready for the Passover later that week, the holy feast that reminded them of how much they had lived through. God had brought them through slavery and famine and war and flood. They had survived everything so far, and they were still alive. Amen?
Amen.
That is worth a feast. Jesus went up to the temple and he taught there every day while others were shopping and chopping, cooking and cleaning their houses from top to bottom for the Passover. Jesus taught. He spoke and he taught like he was running out of time, because he was. He was like a professor dumping a lifetime of knowledge. He was like a coach preparing his team for the hardest parts of the game. He was like a general sending his troops into battle. He was like a mother comforting her children, helping them face their fears, and then blowing all those fears away. He told them stories, and he pointed out the people in the temple who were all around them. The people who were in God's house, but only thinking about getting rich. And the widow who put her only coin into the temple treasury. The religious officials, he pointed out, the ones who wore fine robes and always sat in the front row to be seen by everybody. And the ones who talked too loud and too long, who were officially called mansplainers. Say amen if you know anybody like this. Say amen if maybe you've been somebody like this. Well, those mansplainers grew annoyed with Jesus, who also talked too long, but never too loud, and he spoke the truth. They asked him trick questions. Choir, you're the mansplainers. Jesus, can you turn around? Face your critics. And Jesus answered their questions with questions which only made them angrier. But Jesus didn't care. He just turned back around to his disciples and he began warning them. He said, "Don't be perturbed when you hear of wars and insurrections. These things must happen first, but the end doesn't follow immediately. Nation will rise against nation, and empire against empire. There will be great earthquakes, plagues, and famine in various places. And in the sky, in the sky, there will be frightening omens and great signs." Beloved, have you been afraid? Say amen. Have you worried about wars and insurrections? Have you watched nation rise against nation and not known what to do? Have you lived through earthquakes? Has your life been changed by a plague? Say yes, Jesus. If you said yes, Jesus, you are automatically in his disciple, because here you are in the temple with him, and he's telling you to get ready. He's telling you you have everything you need, and you are not alone in this. You have everyone with you. Look around. And you have Jesus.
Now put your hand over Jesus.
Every day he taught all day long, and every night he slept on the Mount of Olives. Until the last night, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Now I gotta tell you, that's pretty loud. Those mansplainers, those stuffy teachers, might have been some of the only people who realized that Jesus was talking about things really changing. I wonder how that made them feel, realizing that Jesus was talking about a whole different way of life. I wonder if they were worried that there wouldn't be room for them in this new way. Say amen if you have ever worried about everything changing, about there not being room for you anymore. So it's his friend Judas, who was normally in charge of the money, and they talked him into setting up a meeting. I wonder how they did that. I wonder if Judas knew what was happening, or if maybe he thought they could all get along after all. Maybe he thought there was some way around the conflict that was coming. On the last night that Jesus spent with his friends, he gathered them all up for that Passover meal, remembering freedom and remembering survival, remembering hope when things were very hard. And they were all dusty. Their feet were dusty from walking to that meal, and Jesus surprised them by washing their feet for them before that meal. I wonder what that felt like for them, for their beloved and respected teacher to do that thing that they were used to only servants doing. I wonder what it felt like for Jesus to offer care in that way. We remember what he said to his friends at that meal because we say it every time we do communion. What did he say when he offered them bread? This is my body. And what did he say when he offered them the cup? This is my blood, the blood of the new covenant. We aren't as good at remembering what he said at the beginning, which is, I will not eat with you again until everything plays out, and it's going to get ugly. Jesus kept on trying to teach, and his friends kept on not quite understanding until Jesus was all talked out. We don't really know how he was feeling then. I wonder if he was feeling satisfied. I did my best, and God will take the rest. Or maybe he was feeling frustrated. I am explaining things so clearly, and you all are just not getting it. Or enraged, so angry that people would rather cling to their power than try something new. Or maybe he was just feeling scared about what was coming, scared that things were going to hurt. Say amen if you've ever been scared that something was going to hurt. Say amen if sometimes that fear was even worse than the thing that hurt in the end. However he was feeling, he went to pray. He took his friends to a beautiful place called the Garden of Gethsemane. And he asked his friends to stay awake with him while he prayed. And he went off by himself and he asked God, is there any way around this? How am I going to get through this? How am I going to stay true to what I know? How am I going to be brave enough for this? But he also said to God, if this is the way things have to be, then I will do it. We know that his friends didn't really understand what was happening because they fell asleep while Jesus was talking to God, even after Jesus said, don't fall asleep. Stay awake with me while I am praying. They still fell asleep. I wonder what they were thinking as they fell asleep. I wonder how they felt when Jesus had to wake them up. And after the praying, Jesus hung around there a little bit, almost like he knew something was coming. Or maybe he just wanted one more moment in that sweet piece of nature one more minute in that spot that he loved. But before long, his friend Judas came with those religious leaders, that meeting that he had set up, those stuffy teachers, and Judas came and he gave Jesus a kiss on the cheek. I wonder what that kiss felt like to Judas. I wonder what he was thinking then. The religious leaders saw that kiss and they grabbed Jesus. And I wonder if that was a moment that his friends finally realized that something big was happening. Something bigger than their wandering teacher, their daily life, their travel and their food and their stories. Some people say that Peter jumped up right away and tried to rescue Jesus with a sword, and that somebody's ear got cut off. But those same people remember that Jesus did not like that fighting, that he even turned and healed that person so their ear was right back where it started. And Jesus went with those teachers away from his friends who were left there alone together in that garden, trying to figure out what to do next. I wonder if we can relate to that feeling. I wonder if we know what it's like to be stuck somewhere, left behind, thinking you have a plan, and then realizing that the plan is gone. I wonder if we know that garden. The garden is where we're going to stop the story for today. Although you all may know what is coming, and if you come on Maundy Thursday, you'll hear some more of it, and if you come on Good Friday, you'll hear another piece, and if you come back on Easter, you'll hear what comes after that. But today we stop right here in the garden.